Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Welcome to the Physician-to-Physician Forum for Ophthalmologists with Dr. Elson Lai, who is an ophthalmologist in Rosemead, California. My name is Elliot Ziegelman from Modernizing Medicine, and again, thank you for joining. We will start tonight's presentation with an overview of Dr. Lai's experience with EMA ophthalmology, and we'll follow with a question and answer session. So please write in your questions at any time during the webinar into the GoToMeeting questions box, which is located in the dashboard on the right-hand side of your screen. We'll do our best to answer all of your questions tonight, but if for some reason we can't get to all of them, we'll follow up with answers after the broadcast. At this time, it's my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Elson Lai.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming to the Physician-to-Physician Forum. I'm a solo practitioner here in Rosemead, California. We're about 10 minutes east of downtown LA here. And I started this practice about a year ago now, and I actually started with EMA. And during this whole time, before I started, I was probably in your situation where, which EMR system to go with. So we'll go on to the next slide here. So I've had a lot of EMR experiences. I actually started with EMR in residency at UT Southwestern, and we didn't have paper at all. We started with the EMR system. And then after graduation, I was in another practice that had an EMR system also, and actually helped them develop that EMR system, which was a non-ophthalmologic EMR system. So we had to do a lot of templates. And so, when I started my practice, after I left that practice and started my own practice, I was looking for a much better solution to EMR. And that's when I was introduced to EMA and other ones. And this had actually the best interface of all the EHR systems that I was looking at. I'm also a very big Apple guy, so this was Emma was great with it because they use I use an iPad for all my documentation. So the implementation was super easy. I went through a 6-week training and to get my staff up to par, and also with myself. And I actually saw my very first patient using Emma right off the bat. So with the staff, it's also very easy to get them on. And if you have techs, they could do everything from teching to basically putting everything in that you need as a tech. Let's go on to the next slide. Like I said, I started out, with Emma and, and from a ground up too. I did not buy a practice. So I started, with a few patients. Now I'm seeing about anywhere from 15 to 20 a day now, 4 days a week. And I still only have two front desk people. One serves as my tech, and the other one serves as my front office. And Emma really helps out because it's quick and easy for me. I just carry it along an iPad and I go room to room, and I work out of just 2 rooms. The notes, it's pretty easy. Like I said, I'm very tech savvy, especially with the iPad. I would like Emma because of the iPad. I didn't have to buy, different computers for different rooms. I have an iPad, my tech has an iPad, and that's how we work everything. And all the patients just show up, and there's an area where you just click and you walk into a room, and that's who you're seeing. ICD-9 is switching over to ICD-10 in October. Emma is way ahead of the game, and even with billing now, it's so easy. They do all the CPT codes and ICD-9 codes, and I don't even have to think about it. Evolution of the product, like I said, I've been using this for a year. They are constantly, evolving, making the system much better, and I've seen the improvements over time. It doesn't, it never goes down on me. I've never had to use paper. So I've used paper because I didn't want to because I was getting behind on the patient, and I wanted to just jot down notes, and then I just put it back into Emma once I sit down. And what I love about it, it's already the interface is for ophthalmology. You can draw on it. There's funduses, eyeballs, whatever you want to do. You can draw on it, and that's what makes it super easy for me. Even though I only see 15 to 20 a day, I have another business that I run, and so I'm constantly doing two things at once usually, and Emma makes it really easy, especially even with my practice management, who works well with Emma, and that's I really don't have to do much. I mean I leave my office without even thinking about it, and everything gets taken care of the next day. So it's very easy for me. Is there a next slide? So that's all I have here. I mean, I could take questions, and hopefully I can answer them.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Lai. We are getting some questions that are coming in.
Okay.
So if you just bear with me 1 second, I will gather those for you, and we'll start going through there.
Thank you, Dr. Lai. I see a number of questions that are actually coming into the GoToMeeting panel here. One of the first questions that came in, though, was how does Emma compare to other EMRs that you've seen or used in the past?
What I've seen, Emma's quicker actually for me. A lot of the other EMRs aren't ophthalmologic specific, so you have to make your own templates, and that actually takes time. With Emma, the templates are already there. Is it post-op? Is it an exam? Is it left eye only? Is it right eye only? Is it what else is there? I mean, it's very specific. Is it dilated? If it's only left eye dilated, you just pick it, and the template shows up. So you don't have to create anything once you get it. So it's like a no hassle type of EMR.
Very good. Thank you for that answer. This sort of ties in with that first question. Are there specific templates, or are they pre-made?
Yes, they are.
Very, very good. Thanks. I'm also seeing a question here. How is the patient portal? Can you comment on the patient portal?
The patient portal, my practice is 95% Chinese speaking, and a lot of them do not, more of the elderly people do not use the portal for me. So I can't answer that question.
Thank you for your transparency. On the initial exam, where do you pull CPT codes for planned procedures in the impression and plan of your note in order to pre-certify surgeries?
I'm a little confused with that question. How do you pull?
On the initial exam, where do you pull CPT codes planned for procedures in the impression and plan note to pre-certify your surgery? I can actually take this one. So every diagnosis, every plan that's within Emma uses structured data elements, which means that there's a code tied to such. So when you touch one of these things, the system automates all of the coding in the background for you. I also see here, Dr. Lai, is it easier to complete a note on a PC versus an iPad?
I prefer to use the iPad because that's how quick it is. I can actually close out a note before I leave the patient's room and then go on to the next one. I rarely leave a note open until I go to the next patient. And now that I understand that, I could go back to that other question that you just went over. You're right. If I have a cataract surgery and that they have a nuclear sclerosis cataract that needs to be taken out, I click the cataract surgery part, and it actually shows up, and you can actually just click like what needs to be done. Do you have to send them to the PCP, or is this a 66982 versus a 66984? Is it a complex cataract? All those populate for you on the initial visit, and then you can just close it out, and then you'll know exactly what CPT code to use. I mean, it's pretty easy.
Great, thanks. Another question I see coming in is it quick to review previous exams This person says when I use my current EMR, it takes a while to load each page, and it's time consuming.
So this is a great question, actually. So when you go into the patient's interface, so you click on, Joe Schmo, you click on it, it actually shows you all the last visits, whatever, 10 visits. And you can actually just go to that visit and look through the notes. And then when I say they come back for a follow-up, I can actually pull all those things forward into the new note, and then you can pick and choose, is your corneal ulcer getting better? So you just, change that up, or, you don't use this, you don't need this diagnosis code, you could delete it out, so you can pull everything forward and then adjust as needed.
Very good. What has been your experience with training and support? What has been the typical response time?
It's usually right then and there. I've never, if I'm super busy and there's, a couple people ahead of me on support, I just tell them to call me back, and then you get a phone call back, usually within the hour. So it's, it's at least that day. So it's, it gets taken care of pretty quickly.
Great, thank you.
But I haven't had to call support much, so that's the other good thing about it.
Great, thanks. I also have a question coming in that talks a little bit about scanning. So it says, when you scan things in, is it difficult to see them? In other words, can you get outside information into the clinical chart? And also, can you review multiple images at the same time?
The first answer is, once you scan it in, it's still in that initial interface that once you put in the patient's name, you click into their chart, you can actually, there's different tabs. You could do, prescriptions, you could do imaging, what you've uploaded, or what I do a lot is I actually just, because of the iPad, I just take a picture of the interface of like, the visual field or the OCT of the section that you want, but you can't, if you want to scroll through it, you have to go to the OCT machine to scroll through it. And then the second question, what was the second question?
Can you see multiple images side by side?
I don't think you can, but I've never tried.
I'd like to actually take that question.
Okay.
We have absolutely a beautiful interface that enables you to see multiple images side by side, and you can do so with an array of different image types. So whether it's a JPEG or a PDF or a TIFF, you can see your visual field side by side, or you can see a fundus photo with a visual field next to it. The software is very robust in that sense. I'm also seeing a question here. Describe the process of generating letters to referring doctors. So if you could expand on the button that says send to referring physician.
Okay. So basically, once you finish a note, you can go. I do this at the end of the day on my actual desktop, my desktop here. So once you go into the patient's note of that day that you want to send, you actually go into a tab where it says queue the fax. And then once you queue the fax, you can basically have your tech put in all the referring doctors that you either refer out to or that refer into you. You click their name, and it generates this nice little letter with their little name and address and phone number and everything, and it basically gives them, and then you can basically, it asks you what you want to send to them. Do you want to send the whole note? Do you want to send, just parts of it? Because the PCPs just want to know the nitty gritty of it. Do they have diabetes or whatever they have? And then you basically click OK, and generates this nice little letter for you, and then you can send it out. I mean, it's pretty easy. It's once you can have your tech do it. It's pretty easy to do.
Thanks, Dr. Lai. I also have a question here. We covered what you're doing for imaging. This question comes to us about outside imaging softwares like Zeiss's Form, and I'm happy to take this.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, EMA is a robust software that has its own imaging capabilities, but if a practice has an image management software like Zeiss's Form, or Topcon has a product called Synergy, or Sonomed Escalon actually has a beautiful product called Access, yes, Modernizing Medicine interfaces with such, and it passes information back and forth. So if you're working with patient John Smith, when you touch the Zeiss Form button, John Smith's images are pulled up side by side. I'm also, here's a pretty basic question, Dr. Lai. Has Emma slowed you down?
It hasn't. It's very quick. I mean, I've heard a lot of other friends that have used other things. They complain how slow it is. It's super fast. I think with the capability of an iPad, which is already fast, it does not slow you down. Like I said, I finish the notes before I go on to the next patient. You know, so it's quick for me.
Very good, thank you. Do you know, is Modernizing Medicine a certified EHR for meaningful use stages 1 and 2?
Yes, because I got paid for it.
Very good, thank you. Excellent. Let's see here, quite a few questions, trying to sort through here. How long did it take you to get Emma implemented? What was the process like from contract signature until you got up and running? How long did that look like?
It took me about 6 weeks. I think there's about 8 hours of training or something. I can't remember now. I know it took about 6 weeks. They go through, it's like an hour and a half per day, like on a Tuesday. I think I had it on a Tuesday or something like that. So it took me 6 weeks to get it up and running, and then, you know, I was off the ground running with Emma right when I opened.
Great. I think your question, the answer to this question will be interesting, seeing as how your population is primarily Chinese. But what do you use for patient education?
What do I use for patient education? Oh, that's a good question. I translate basically educational stuff from Emma. So I have somebody translate all the words into it, and then I make copies for them.
Great. I'd like to also mention that Modernizing Medicine software produces patient education handouts for the over 2,500 diagnoses that are in the software today. And when you choose a diagnosis and you counsel on such, not only do you have a printable education handout, but it's also automatically sent to the patient portal. To complement that, Modernizing Medicine is finalizing a partnership with iMagination, so you'll have quite a bit of enhanced patient education available in this short future here. If you send a patient out for lab work, is there a way to keep track of patients with pending labs? I can take that one. The answer is absolutely. As a matter of fact, there's a status of a patient which is pending labs, and you can sort by all patients for whom you're waiting to receive a result. Is there coding support for level of exam?
That's yes, but you probably can explain this better.
Sure, yeah. Emma absolutely produces a suggested code for the level of the exam. And as a matter of fact, the software takes it one step further. The software actually compares E&M codes to I codes simultaneously and shows you the estimated cash values for each. Here I'm seeing, what is the summary that you print out for your patients? What's that like? And are you able to customize it for each patient? The answer to that is absolutely. One of the beautiful things about Emma is that the software customizes itself to each provider's specific style of practice. And if you have your typical counseling blocks, they can be altered per provider, and if your common verbiage is remembered, but you also have patient-specific areas that you can customize. And I'm also seeing, is Emma able to handle subspecialties of ophthalmology, such as oculoplastics? I think you won't have a hard time answering that one, Dr. Lai.
Yeah, you can. I mean, there's diagrams on the side that allows you to do that. You know, if you need the MRDs for that, it's all implemented into the template. I think there is an oculoplastics tab, isn't there, Elliot? I really use it, but there is one.
There sure is. So Emma's an extremely robust piece of software. So depending on what type of subspecialist you're talking to, they may not know about the other areas within the software. One of the areas within the software that's extremely robust is the oculoplastic section, because modernizing medicine also caters to the dermatology and plastic surgery markets. So within EMA ophthalmology, you can do everything from a cataract extraction to a ptosis repair to a nasal lacrimal duct obstruction, diagnosis, and wet macular degeneration, and everything in between. Dr. Lai, are you comfortable with EMA's risk, security, and backup capabilities?
I've never even thought about that. So yes.
Yeah, I think one of the nice things about the software is that it utilizes the Amazon Web Services network, and it uses 256-bit SSL encryption. So nothing is stored on the device itself. If a patient were to walk away with an iPad, there's no clinical information on it. It's all sent to the cloud, and it's replicated across 3 server facilities that are in different power grids within the US. So if the server facility that's secured by an armed guard in Virginia were to go down, our clients wouldn't even know, because the server facilities in California and Texas would have replicated information, and they would pick right back up. Do you have injection templates such as for Botox injections? Thank you for the question. I'm happy to take this since I'm more familiar with the oculoplastic section. The answer is yes, we absolutely do for Botox and fillers, and all sorts of cosmetics within the product. Great. All right. It seems like that is the end of the question list. So, Dr. Lai, thank you again so much for joining us. We really appreciate you sharing your experience with EMA Ophthalmology. This will now conclude tonight's webcast, but please, if you have other questions, do not hesitate to navigate to modmed.com and fill out one of the requested demonstration or request information. One of our sales representatives would be very happy to get back to you. Again, Dr. Lai, thank you so much, and thank you all who attended.